What's up, guys? It's your boys Wokey back with more of the Chris Watts videos. And yes, the cowardness of Chris Watts and Nichol Kessinger continues to flow through the internet because people still think to this day that both of them are innocent, which is kind of shocking. For one, we know for a complete 100% fact that Chris Watts, the coward himself, is at fault. Now, Nichol Kessinger being at fault, which we cannot prove, is a coward herself because she hides in the dark, pretty much, because we cannot find her, we cannot talk to her, she has not come forward. If you are a person that is innocent, then why are you hiding like a coward? So, to show the manipulation tactics that are explained is my friend Deceptive Detective. Now, this man is a professional in pretty much what we're about to watch, and this guy dissects manipulators and everything when it comes to cases, and not just the Chris Watts case. He has tons of other cases, but we're going to be watching his newest video that is every manipulation tactic explained, featuring Chris Watts. But I'm also throwing in Nichol Kessinger because pretty much she mirrors everything that Chris Watts does with no emotions, no empathy, no regards for what had happened. She's fake when it comes to, or they're both fake when it comes to their emotions. And they put on an act to show that they are somewhat of a victim themselves when they are not. But one was arrested, one was not, and that's why we continuously do this, because one of them needs to be still apprehended, investigated properly, and hopefully maybe with all our videos that we do on all these YouTube channels, not just myself, but a whole bunch of other ones, that we might one day see that actually happen. So with that being said, before we go any further, make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel by hitting that white bar icon down at the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it, so when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I've posted that video. Then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you guys so very much for that continued love and support that you guys show on this channel every single day. I can't thank you guys enough. And like I said before, speaking of support, check out that link in the description for Deceptive Detective himself. This man puts hours and tons of work into his explanations, his depictions of every case that he has done. I would definitely state that you guys should go over to his channel and go give him some love. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. And without further ado, and with that being said, let's get into the video.
Manipulator, a victim of manipulation, or both. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis, and this channel exposes lies and manipulation. Today we'll analyze a rare 2019 interview for signs that Chris Watts is a master manipulator, a victim of manipulation.
I'd like to say this also, as I have Nichol Kessinger in this category. He puts Chris Watts. I also want to feature Nichol Kessinger because she mimics, if not mirrors, everything that Chris Watts does.
Or both. This interview was uploaded by a friend of the channel, Watts the Obsession. To continue this series, let's get this video to 50,000 views, or you can become a channel member and vote on who we analyze next in my member poll. The link to join is also in the description. Without further ado, let's listen.
Okay.
But she's a completely new type of person and relationship. Yeah. Okay. All right. What were you thinking this whole time? Like,
in the back of my head, I was telling myself, "What are you doing?" Like, every time, I open up my phone, I can see pictures like of my wife and my kids. I'm just like, "What am I doing?" And then, like, every time I was with her, it seemed like I didn't think. It seemed like it was like a blinder that was on my face.
oh,
And it was like every time I look back on it, like, like I have pictures of my wife and kids and myself. And like every night, or every morning, every night, I just, talk to them, say like I have like this book I used to read for CC, and I remember that book. So I read that to them like every night. And like there's some scripture and stuff that I read to them. So just try to,
You should have
just
done
try
that
to think back.
before.
Like I wish this never happened. It's just like I wish that blinder wasn't on my head, wasn't in my eyes. That would have seen what was going on. Like I was having. Everybody said, "Oh, you're just out there having fun while your kids, or kids and wife are on vacation." I'm just like, no, it wasn't like that. But it seemed like that's.
In part 1 of my Chris Watts analysis, I determined that he exhibited enough psychopathic traits to be treated as one, even though I can't personally diagnose him because I'm not a clinician. For example, you'll notice here how he takes zero responsibility for anything he did with Nichol because he had these blinders on.
With Chris.
He also shows no remorse for what he did or empathy for those who are still hurting because of it, like Shanann's relatives. This video isn't about whether he is or isn't a psychopath.
We know he is.
Instead, in this video, I want to point out the techniques he uses to manipulate people into seeing him as a victim.
And I like you guys to also use those tactics that he is stating about Chris towards Nichol. Because Nichol, like I said before, does the exact same thing. Now, I'm not a professional. I'm not a did I say professional? Professional or expert, I should say. I just, from my point of standards or point of view, see the complete BS and the same traits that she has that she takes from chriswatts and mimics.
Because even if he hasn't fooled you or me, he is a master manipulator, and these tactics are common with manipulators you're likely to encounter in your own life.
That's what it looks like when you're going, you're going to camping, going to drag race, going all this other stuff that you have fun doing, but you're with somebody else. It's not your family. It just didn't seem right. And, with her, it just didn't seem like I could even see that anymore. I was there at her house pretty much every night. So it was like I didn't have that time at home just to really think about anything. Because literally I didn't, I was only at home from when I got home from work. I worked out, I ate dinner, and then I went over her house. I never slept in my house. The whole month of July.
Now, talking through that though, when you said you went home and then you were at her house, was that while Shanann was gone? Oh, okay. So you weren't even at your house.
No.
This all happened so quickly, didn't it?
It was insane quickly. I didn't she even told me she would never, in a normal relationship, she would never have somebody over at her house more than once or twice a week.
More than 6 weeks.
Felt like she wanted me over there.
Yeah.
She said she felt comfortable over there.
Yeah.
So it's that's what was different.
Yeah, because she was Googling butt stuff all the dang time.
She wanted me over there.
And wedding dresses.
She wanted me there. Notice how Chris subtly shifts all the blame for him sleeping at Nichol's house onto Nichol, as if he.
And then Nichol sits there and says, "Oh, we weren't that close. We were just kind of dating, casually dating, and stuff like that. It was nothing serious." Okay.
Had zero say in the matter. This manipulation tactic appropriately is known as blame shifting. And the most common example is when kids get caught doing something wrong and they say, "Well, mom, dad, everyone was doing it." Their goal, of course, is to derail a conversation about what punishment they should get into a stern lecture about peer pressure and how they need to think for themselves. And often it works. They escape punishment. And that is the power of shifting even just a little bit of blame onto others.
Not my kids.
If you've ever watched a trial, you'll know that criminals blame everything from society to addiction to their childhood for crimes that they committed. In part 1, I shut down Chris's egregious attempts to shift blame for the murders onto his wife, Shanann. Shanannwatts was a victim in this tragic event, not the perpetrator, and I am opposed to contributing to Chris's attempts to garner sympathy by assigning even one iota of blame to her without undeniable proof. As I often emphasize in my videos, psychopaths are highly skilled at making themselves appear as the victim. Later in this video, I'll address Chris's attempts to shift blame for the murders onto Nichol.
I ate dinner, and then I went over her house. I never slept in my house.
It was her
the whole month of July.
Now, talking through that though, when you said you went home and then you were at her house, was that while Shanann was gone? Oh, okay. So you weren't even at your house.
No.
This all happened so quickly, didn't it?
It was insane quickly. I didn't she even told me she would never, in a normal relationship, she would never have somebody over at her house more than once or twice a week, but she felt like
So he's blaming her, but he's not blaming her, if that makes sense.
she wanted me over there.
Yeah,
Or
she said she
secretly
felt
blaming her.
there.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what was different. Like she wanted me over there, but then I just wish that all that would just go away. I just wish I almost like I know it's hard to, I know it's wrong to say I wish I'd never met somebody, but I wish I'd, maybe met her at work and then just kept it that way.
I think if we had a time machine, I don't think this would happen again. Because some people, when this happens, you're like, well, if it wasn't this time, it would have been next time, or it would have been the next time. It just wouldn't happen with you, would it? And it happened so quickly that you tell me if I'm wrong. You're not the type of guy to take control sometimes when you need to. Yeah, it seems like that's just what happened.
Yeah, I didn't take control of the situation. It was like the situation controlled me.
He didn't want
Right,
to.
it just happened.
Because, of course, Nichol was manipulating him. He was manipulating her. They both were doing it. So that's what caused the complete spiral, is they both were feeding off each other's manipulations.
I get that, man. I'm somewhat passive myself, and it's like, there's situations where I'm like, well, why did I let that keep going? No.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was like a roller coaster ride that I just kept punching it, taking off, and just never get up. Yeah.
Watts the Obsession has conveniently put the names of all the interviewers here in the description of the video we're reacting to. And they come from 3 different departments. So there's FBI's Graham Coder, CBI, so Colorado Bureau of Investigation's Tammy Lee, and Frederick Police Department's Detective Dave Baumhofer. One of the most common comments I saw on my previous video was people criticizing them for being too chummy with Chris. And while I understand the indignant outrage about them being buddy-buddy with a guy who just killed his entire family 3 months ago, that is the job. Like it or not, making Chris comfortable is the best way to get him to reveal any undisclosed details about the murders.
Because you don't want to talk to somebody that you feel uncomfortable with. If you feel comfortable with somebody that's a stranger, you open up to them about things that you would never do. But if you feel close, or what they call it, close guarded, you feel kind of like alone, you're not going to open up to that person. So of course this is a tactic. They're not being buddies with Chris. They're trying to be looking like he's on their side. And they're like, oh, we just have to show him some friendly companionship, and he'll open up like a dog wants to be rubbed on his tummy. And that's what Chris is doing. He's wanting to be rubbed on his tummy. And he's opening up to the detectives.
If there are any, and that appears to be the entire reason they visited him in prison. I actually wrote about this in the DD Forum patron section when I was preparing to interview the Proudfoots as part of my Sebastian Rogers series, before they stonewalled me. And that's because I knew anyone who watched that interview would have thought that I had gone soft or had been fooled by them because I was being so friendly. And just like these detectives are doing here, playing along with Chris to make it easy for him to open up. In fact, I would have done lots of the manipulation tactics for them, like rationalizing what they did if they did anything wrong, or blame shifting what they did if they did anything wrong onto society or someone else. In other words, I assure you these detectives are not charmed by Chris or fooled by him. They're playing along with what he's saying in order to get him to open up. And when I hit play, listen closely, because they're about to ask him about the night of the murders, which is what I think this entire interview has been leading up to.
No, I get that, man. I'm somewhat passive myself, and it's like, there's situations where I'm like, well, why did I let that keep going? No.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was like a roller coaster ride that I just kept punching it, taking off, and just never get up. Yeah.
We talk about the hardest subject. So when we were talking, the last time we talked, the last thing we talked about was where the girls were. Mm-hmm. We never really got to talk about that night. What happened?
Still don't think he told us.
So nothing really happened that night. It was in the morning. And it was, you know, me and Shanann, she got home like at 2:00. And, you know, I felt her get into bed. And like, I just felt like I didn't really, but I just make sure I looked at my phone at 2:00 and make sure she looked like she's in there. And I kind of feel her kind of stirring around a little bit. I just had a feeling like she knew like what was going on. I mean, obviously, I didn't use like an Anarco gift card, you know, that I got, and I used my actual credit card. And I kind of just felt like she knew what was going on, and
Because you weren't trying to hide it.
she started rubbing her hand on me, and we ended up having sex. But
No, you didn't.
I guess that was more like a test.
Well,
I would have thought.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because when we talked, when I woke up for later on in the morning.
How would you go from doing the business to not doing it at all on your trip that you took to North Carolina? You didn't touch her. You didn't kiss her. You didn't hug her. You didn't hold her. You didn't do nothing with her. But then the night of the murder, you're going to initiate intimacy or not initiate, but you're going to have intimacy with this woman that you so-called stated that you have no feelings for anymore. I know the intimacy is intimacy for some guys because they don't care as long as they get their stuff wet, but this man didn't want Shanann anymore. He was angry with her. He was scornful over her because of what he had gone through with her, and he thought she was the problem. And he wanted to be with Nichol. So he was making it look like the entire time that he was having intimate time with her that night, when that is malarkey. Or malarkey, not balarkey. Malarkey. They didn't have intimacy. I guarantee it.
Like, you know, I pretty much, you know, told her, like, you know, I didn't think it was going to work anymore. And she was like, what was last night, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that's what it was after I've gone through everything in my head.
That makes sense.
He caught her off guard because he even states, I don't know if it's upcoming here in a second, but he literally sits there and says that while he was doing the thing to her, is that she was talking to herself. He thought she was praying, which I highly doubt that she was just letting it happen. She was going to fight to the end and also to fight for her daughters. So he caught her off guard, and again, this is still not the truth of what happened that night. And again, I still don't think we'll have any actually 100% closure that what he did that night. Excuse me.
And she just told me, you know, like, to get off of her. And she was like, I knew there was somebody else, I knew there was somebody else, and there was somebody else.
I can't remember if it was Deceptive Detective that said this or if it was somebody else, but there is truth in his lies, but the lies outweigh his truth, if that makes sense.
I couldn't just say, yes, there is somebody else, but then
she knew.
She said, never going to see the kid again, never going to see them again, get off me, don't hurt. And then,
is that what she said?
But yet you took
them
like
away.
When
I climbed in bed, that was pretty much like on top, pretty much like straddling her.
Okay.
Because she thought I was gonna, like, you know, her or baby or something. So
Listen to the words that Chris uses, right? I was pretty much on top. That night, nothing really happened. In part 1, I showed how Chris used minimizing adverbs to downplay his involvement in the affair with Nichol.
11-minute phone call.
And here he's using another manipulative grammatical structure to downplay his violence against Shanann, and that is exclusion qualifiers. So what is an exclusion qualifier? It's probably something you've encountered in your own life from a manipulator without even realizing it. So I'll just read you the rule from the card. Words like possibly, fundamentally, and basically signal a lack of commitment to a statement. Liars frequently employ these terms to obscure or gloss over incriminating details and context, And I believe that's exactly how Chris is using
Nichol Kessinger did the exact same words. She would say basically a lot.
them here. When Chris says he was pretty much straddling her, I would bet money that he was doing far more than he's admitting.
Forcefully.
In other words, Chris appears to be generally telling us the truth, but he's using manipulative language like minimizing adverbs, exclusion qualifiers, and temporal lacunae to present it as less violent than it really was, and also to present it as if he didn't have full control over what he was doing. And that's only the stuff he's telling us. Like any deceiver, he's also likely omitting a lot of stuff, so he technically doesn't have to lie about it. So when I hit play again, look out for minimizing adverbs and exclusion qualifiers, because if you can spot these in real time in your own life, you'll be able to ask more pointed follow-up questions and be harder to fool. And that's the entire point of my channel.
I climbed in bed. That was pretty much like on top, pretty much like straddling her. Do
Okay.
Because she thought I was gonna like, hurt her or baby or something. So because she knew that like something had happened. She thought I was just trying to just check out or something. So then that's when it happened.
I know it's hard, but do you mind if we talk to the tiny bit deeper about that? So she comes home. She touches you. You guys have sex. It seems like she's doing her test, which I understand. Sounds like you do too.
I'm sure, like, Nikki or something, Cole Atkinson or Cassie probably told her,
That's what I was thinking, right? They talked about it during that whole weekend.
more than like that. That's my parents told me there was like going through like text messages. It's like all like pretty much they all kind of just told her he's with somebody else.
Yeah. And she spent a lot of time with the gals.
They already knew.
That's what they did probably all weekend is talk about it, give her advice. I think that's what we found, right? Yeah. Okay. So she comes home. You guys have sex.
No, they did.
And then did you fall asleep between then and going to work?
Yes.
Okay.
He was trying to make plans to do all the deeds that he just pretty much planned with Nichol. He didn't. You're telling me you murdered your wife, and then you went to sleep? Yeah. Okay.
So then at some point, does she wake you up or did he wake up for work?
Not a lot of points.
Oh, okay. And you're going to work out.
Yeah.
But then that's when she started wanted to talk more. She was pretty mad.
Yeah, it was, I had already kind of knew that.
They put her death at like
Using that credit card.
3 o'clock.
Was that intentional?
Yeah.
I had no other way to do it.
Oh,
I used to, because I got these anarcho gift cards from like, doing good stuff at work and stuff like that. I'd use them all.
oh. Was part of me just like, screw it, whatever, I don't care. I'm using this card.
And once, part of me just wants to say, Nikki, can you pay for this? But I don't know.
Yeah.
Even I think, when my attorney said she even noticed I used a different card, like a blue card. Maybe she thought, like I felt comfortable enough just using them.
Because he probably thought he had some gift cards, but then they got done eating, and he's like, "Oh, crap. Well, I'm gonna use this anyways because who cares? It's gonna happen anyways, regardless."
On the bank account or something. But I told her I was going to Iraq. Yeah, I told you guys.
Yeah.
It's just, even it felt like like looking back at everything, like just like reading the scripture more and more now, I can see like God gave me opportunities to get at it.
And you didn't listen.
Like even my friend Jeremy Lindstrom, he even invited me because like it was his daughter that came and watched the kids on that Saturday night. And he was like, "Hey, you said we're going to a Rocky game. You want to go to me with the Bronco game and watch the Arizona Cardinals?" Like, in my mind, it was like, go. Just say, "Hey, I can't find a babysitter."
To Nikki.
Yeah.
Once again, Chris shifts all the blame for the affair onto Nichol. Right? She insisted on this date and he just couldn't get out of it. But that's not why I paused. The reason I paused here is because it gives us some insight into the mind of a manipulator. Specifically, how easily they resort to lying. As Chris just said, in his mind, his two options were to either go on the date with Nichol or cook up some lie about not being able to find a babysitter to get out of the date. Having a frank and honest discussion with her doesn't seem to have ever even crossed
She
his
would have
mind.
complained about it.
And I think it's this blend of psychopathic qualities that he has,
Bit.
as well as his aversion to confrontation, that led to the murders. As I said back in one of my Nichol Kessinger videos, the tragedy of this case and the irony of it is that it was Chris's cowardice which led to the murders, in my opinion. He was too cowardly to tell Shanann he wanted to get a divorce and deal with that fallout, and he was too cowardly to tell Nichol that what they were doing was a mistake and he wanted to break up with her. In his twisted psychopathic mind, eliminating Shanann and his children was the easier option. When someone doesn't feel emotions like love or remorse or empathy, butchering someone is a lot easier than the tedium of arguing with them for the next 18 years. It's twisted, but we're seeing some insight into the mind of a manipulative psychopath with this little anecdote.
In my mind, it was like, go. Just
Do it.
just say, hey, I can't find a babysitter.
To Nikki.
Yeah. And maybe that would have been like, like a light switch in my head goes off, light switch in her head goes off, maybe it just like goes different direction. That was kind of like my last opportunity to kind of get out this game. So
Hey, you messed it up.
I wish I would have said, yeah, let's go.
You coward.
And I think that would have just put me on a different trajectory.
So then, Shanann, did she actually say you're never going to see the kids?
See, this is what I don't believe for a second. Shanann says you'll never see the kids again. So your partake is to actually never see them again and murder them? Like, that makes no sense.
It's me?
She said it to me before.
Yeah. That's kind of hard to hear.
Yeah, because she'd said to me before she went to Arizona. Because I wasn't really sleeping in the bedroom. I was sleeping on the couch or in the basement bed or something. And, she had slammed the door. You're never going to see the kid
I call
again.
BS.
So, yeah.
Did she get fiery? Like,
Only once in our entire relationship I ever seen her that way.
yeah. And that was a time before, or was that on the night that it happened?
No, it was back in North Carolina.
Oh,
It was just like one of those. It was just a fiery argument that I never raised my voice to her or anything.
She was fury, Shanann, because of what happened at Chris Watts' parents' house because of the peanuts and the razor blades and stuff like that. I would be furious too if I asked for that to be taken care of and you go there and it's not taken care of. I would have been furious.
I just got mad and I slammed the door and she's like, "Ow!" I'm like, should have slammed the door.
Was that when you were in North Carolina that last week?
No, it was
Previous to
this
that?
was 2010, 2011.
Oh.
It was early. In her old house.
before kids.
Yes,
Were you dating or were you married at that point?
dating.
Oh,
Yeah, it was just I don't remember what it was about. I think some girl maybe texted me from my past or something, and it was just like this, and she was like, don't have that happen again. And I'm just like, I can't have friends.
right,
They're females. I don't even talk to this woman anymore.
right.
And it was just like,
No. Was she fiery? Did she have that Italian blood that her mom has?
Lord, yes.
Was she always like that, or was she? Did she snap at things?
She would snap at me, but you could tell something
It bothered her.
really irked her a little bit.
Yeah.
It would come out.
0 to 100 type thing, or what?
0 to 200.
Oh, interesting.
She's
Bold liars like Casey Anthony or O.J. Simpson can just make up a story on the spot.
So can he.
Calculating liars like Chris are more manipulative. They'd rather divert the conversation to
Something
avoid
else.
lying in the first place. For example, if they're faced with an incriminating question, they might start crying or storm off, or even arguing with their accuser to put their accuser on the defensive. When Chris describes how he and Shanann argued about him potentially cheating, It seems like that was his MO. He'd make her reaction the issue, rather than what he did to cause that reaction. Like blame
flip it on
shifting,
her.
this is a common manipulation tactic. It's called U2. You catch your kid vaping and ground them? Well, you used to smoke, Mom. How can you punish me for it? Where do you get off? Or a thief resists arrest and gets tased? I can't believe you tased me. That's excessive force. The U2 technique works because our instinct is to immediately defend ourselves. And when we do, the manipulator takes full advantage to wriggle off the hook. They make sure the conversation never comes back to what they did. The officers interviewing Chris here are trained, so arguing with them is unlikely to work. However, I'll let you in on a little secret. Chris has been using another common manipulation technique to evade their questions. He's been doing it for the past couple minutes, and they haven't picked up on it. So when I hit play, see if you can spot it.
She would snap at me, but you could tell, like, something really irked her a little bit.
Yeah.
It would come out.
0 to 100 type thing or what?
Yeah, 0 to 200.
Oh, interesting.
She gets acclimated about something. She's like, all right, it's gonna happen.
Well, that's why she was probably so successful at Thrive, right?
Oh yeah, like she had done a couple other like direct sales business, but this one was just like it was different.
Why?
This one, like, cause I think she had done like Origami Owl and like something called like It Works, and then like just other couple other things like some mags and stuff like that. With the supplement stuff, it just because it worked her. And for me, she's like, okay, I can kind of like use this as like, all right, this is what it's doing for us.
Yeah.
And then like after a little while, like she could see how like people are above her, how it was helping them, and then it was just like trickle down effect.
Mm.
That was like a good system about like commission wise and everything was just she could use all the business IQ she has from running those cell phone shops and from the Dirty South custom shops, all that. I mean, she's business minded. Yeah, she knows how to do accounting book like back of her hand. So that all just like fell into place with all that.
I have a feeling I know what it is, but
So then on that
I'm not
night,
sure.
was it just a new type of fight?
It was
Never had or what? What happened?
yeah, totally different type of fight. It was,
It was a I don't
it
care
was-
fight.
Just felt like I don't know, it was more anger than anything else. Like there was emotion to it at first, and then it just felt like it was just anger. It was just like like there was no love there. It was kind of like
What I say?
what we were saying, what she was saying. It was just like it's almost like we knew like something was coming at each other. We didn't know like it wasn't ourselves.
Really?
No.
Anger from you or anger from her?
I think it was more anger from me and more like desperation from her because she wanted it.
Yeah.
She knew something wasn't right.
Because
Like
he didn't want to have to not share, but he didn't want to keep going back and forth to each one. He wanted to commit 100% towards Nichol.
like when the whole thing with my parents happened with my parents called it gate, Nutgate.
What's that?
The peanut.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, with her family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pistachio ice cream or whatever.
Yeah, they people
Nutgate.
I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that either.
Yeah, I guess what street were called that.
Okay.
But that was like another out. Like maybe I could have just like stopped everything with Nikki and just kind of concentrated on helping like whatever happened there.
Maybe he could have looked like the hero and done something. That's why I'm guessing at this point. I thought there was one before, but I'm guessing he was trying to show that maybe there was something I could have done. I could have been the hero and I could have saved it.
Story, my mom had a story. Like, whatever happened. I'll probably ask my 10-year-old nephew, probably to tell me what actually happened.
Well, and they both have their feelings for good reasons, and they both didn't see it the other person's way. And
Yeah. And like maybe I didn't talk to my parents from then on until like August 6th.
Ask yourself, how many times have the interviewers tried to bring Chris back to the night in question? Who brought up Peanutgate? Who brought up the fights with Shanann generally rather than the night in question? Whenever the interviewers bring him back on track to talk about what he did the night he murdered his family, he finds a way to go off on a tangent about some other topic.
Like NK did.
Now, as far as these interviewers go, they might recognize that he's going on tangents, but unsophisticated interviewers fall for this all the time. I see this happen on podcasts constantly. As we listen on, note how it's Chris who perpetuates the conversation about Peanutgate because he wants them to stay on that topic.
Shannon had a story, my mom had a story. Like, whatever happened, I probably asked my 10-year-old nephew, probably to tell me what actually happened.
Well, and they both have their feelings for good reasons, and they both didn't see it the other person's way. And
Yeah, and like maybe because I didn't talk to my parents from then on until like August 6th, and like my dad took that whole week off.
you didn't talk to your parents from then on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like my Janelle was like, do not talk to them, do not call them, do not do anything.
Is that what she said?
Yeah, and Cece's birthday was 17th, but I think the
That the Watts parents did not attend.
actual birthday party was like a couple days after,
In August?
July.
July.
And like my mom or my dad was gonna go, but then there was like a post on Facebook about allergies and stuff like that. She had made, and my dad was like, "No, I just can't do it anymore." Just like because
He perceived that as her taking a shot type thing?
yeah,
Okay.
like she always says she never put those posts directed at anybody, but she had a
If
method.
you read them, you know who it's talking about.
She had a method to the madness, and you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish I could have just took more time just to fix that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted my parents to be involved. Like since like the whole wedding thing, and then up to that, it was like my mom, my sister were always like combating with Shan combating with them. My dad was always cool. Like he's just like me. He's just
He
like
wasn't
go
that-
with the flow. Like I just want everybody to get along type deal.
Chicks,
I
man.
loved your dad.
Oh, he's the best.
Isn't he? I loved your dad.
I'm sorry, keep going.
That's I just wish I could have like just when we were at the beach in August. Like my dad was supposed to take through the whole week off just so we could see the kids, like see me, like we have a cookout at my sister's house or something. And then, but we just pretty much spent 5 days at the beach. And Shannon like booked it, so like I mean, I don't want to say like punishment for them not to see the kids, but like I wanted them to see it, see them. I wish I could
And now you can't.
and fixed all that. And I even like when I was at the beach, I told Shanann that it was more like what was going on was more of like I feel like my dad's my hero. I feel like I've lost like something in my life. I haven't been talked to him for 3 weeks, and I haven't been see the kids for 2 weeks, on FaceTime or anything.
Mm.
And I wanted them to be able to have that relationship. And she was pretty much gung ho, like she tried to kill my daughter by giving her. I was like, that's fair.
But yeah,
I
you
don't
did
think
it.
she gave it to him.
And was that her stance? Is that your mom?
Put something in front of Cece.
Like to kill her or
No, this
to-
Notice how Chris has taken them down the path of Peanutgate to his relationship with his father and the relationship with his nephew and Shanann and his parents. And a few summers ago, this is a classic textbook tangent, and the longer he goes on, the more sensitive he must be about the night of the murders, because he's doing everything he can to avoid talking about it, which is why I really want to hear what he has to say. Thankfully, the detectives are going to bring him back on track once and for
As they
all,
see it.
and we're going to get into the specifics of the murder.
Ooh.
That's coming up soon.
Ooh, I can't wait.
So when we listen to that part, we're going to be listening for clues in his language that he didn't act alone or that he was following a premeditated plan. That said, I still think he acted alone, but the fact that Nichol deleted all of her text messages with him before going to the police means she's forfeited the right to the benefit of the doubt. So we'll be listening very closely for words and any other cards from the deception deck related to lying and deception instead of what we did here, which was manipulation, evasion, and distraction. I recommend watching the video on your screen next.
Go
It's
watch
about
it.
another murderous
good.
father, and the similarities to Chris are chilling.
Which I hope
If
he
you want to
gets a death
continue this
penalty.
series, let's get this video to 50,000 views. Until next time, stay true.
So you guys get the deal. Go give him some love. Watch his video as well. I have a different look out on Nichol Kessinger. I think she should have been somewhat held accountable for destroying a family. If it was physical, mental, emotional, whatever have you, she caused the death of family. And if it's 5, 10, 15 years that she should have been serving, I think that she should have served it. She mimicked and mirrored everything that Chris Watts did when it came to blame game, making herself look like the victim, making the Chris and Shanann be like the villains. Shanann deleting messages, looking up at text messages that could be traced by cops. I mean, it's textbook blame game that she did, and yet she walked free and says that she's innocent, but yet is in hiding and is completely off the grid, as you will. I can't wait for the next one that he posts. This man definitely knows his stuff. He's a professional, so definitely keep on watching his stuff. Subscribe on this channel, turn on notifications, so I do post my reaction towards his stuff and any other stuff for that matter. You guys will be the first to know. Comment your guys' thoughts down below about the similarities between Chris and Nichol being a coward and their mannerisms of manipulation and being a psychopath and so forth. Let me know. Hit the like button for the obvious reasons of hopefully one day we'll get that 100% justice for this case, because again, I don't think it's done. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, keep it real, keep it safe, and as always, keep nerding on, and we'll see you guys next time.